Hi everyone, this is Rion Paper. I'm very excited to be filming today's video because I have received a wonderful package from Shanghai Stationary. And I'll just go ahead and say it now that I did not buy these things. They were gifted to me by Shanghai Stationary. I was lucky enough to visit Shanghai Stationary, their stand at the Dutch Pen Show in June. And I bought a couple of their inks, and I have been very impressed with the colors and the quality, and it was so much fun just browsing through their collection at the Dutch Pen Show. And then a while ago, they reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to try their new inks and make a video for you guys. So, of course, I said yes, and the package is here. And now it's time to discover what they have sent me and make a fun video for you. So I have already opened the package because I was just like playing around with the packaging and trying to figure out how to open them so that I wouldn't struggle with it on camera. But I have put it back in the boxes so that we can have the unboxing experience. So we have this lovely sticker, Shanghai Stationary sticker. They make paper, color, it says paper color pen, and they make wonderful, wonderful papers. They actually, look at this gorgeous handmade booklet. It's a lined booklet. I'm just gonna get this one off. Oh. Just look at the gorgeous craftsmanship on that binding. I really love handmade booklets and just the amount of attention that goes into that. It's very lovely. This is a postcard with ink swatches. I am not sure if it is currently up to date with their newest colors. Might be, might not be, but it looks gorgeous nonetheless. And then these are the inks they sent me. 3 new ones, the 3 newest inks. They make their inks both in 50 milliliter bottles and in these very cute 10 milliliter bottles. I bought a set of 3 10 milliliter bottles at the Dutch Pen Show. I'm going to show those colors in a bit. But in their new set, we've got Lotus of the Silver Moon, which is a pink ink. We have Broken Bridge, which is a light blue. And we have Kokonor, which is a light to medium blue. Put the box to the side. And then they have also so incredibly generously sent me a full 50 milliliter bottle of the color Huang Pu, which is a blue-black. This bottle is so heavy. It has this beautiful, very thick glass bottom. So yeah, thank you to Shanghai Stationary for sending me these beautiful products, and I cannot wait to take a closer look at them. So what I want to be doing today is I want to swatch these colors. I want to take a look at the colors that I bought from them previously. And then I'm going to ink 1 or 2 of these inks up in a pen and see how they perform when writing. So let's see. The colors that I bought previously, I keep in these. I have this binder with this ring binder with all of my swatches. Let's see, Shanghai, that would be all the way in the back. So yeah, I have bought previously 9 Village Valley, which is this gorgeous sort of teal turquoise color. Really, really beautiful. I have Deep River, which is a bluish gray.
And I have Lu Hui, which is a greenish gray color. So let's just put a piece of paper here to protect my table. And then we're going to make some swatches. Let's actually start with the 50 milliliter bottle, the Huang Pu. So I'm just going to read you what it says on the website about this ink, because that's something that I love. I know that a lot of brands do this, but I love it when there's a bit of background story about what they based the color on and why they named it the way they named it. So let's see. The river Huangpu winds through the big city of Shanghai and divides the old city center from Pudong with its skyscrapers. Endless riverboats and ferries float over blue-black waters. So this ink is named after a river, which seems very fitting for its blue-black color. Just going to give it a gentle shake. And I'm going to try to open this without spilling. Looks lovely. So I'm going to use this pipette, which came with a Dominant Industry ink, to take a couple of drops. Then I put 3 small drops on this paper. This is Tomere River paper. It's the new Sanzen paper. And I use that for all of my ink swatches. Then I just take this acrylic stamp block. And I'm going to make nice circles. And then what I use to write down the brand and the name of the ink is this. This is a Twispy Swipe that I have sort of destroyed. No, I've made this into a dip pen by cutting off part of the feed section. So now I can just dip it and write with it without having to clean out the feed every time. So I'm just gonna apply the ink with the pipette because that's just easier. Just gonna drop off the excess. Oh, there it goes already. And then the most fun part is I'm just gonna carefully slap the pen so that it sort of splatters the remaining ink onto the page. I can already tell that I love this color. It's definitely blue-black. It is not too dark. Sometimes the blue-black can be so dark that it's hard to see that it has a blue base color. This one definitely doesn't. And I also really like that it's fairly unsaturated. There's a lot of gray in this blue-black. And I think I'm going to pair this later in the video with this pen. This is a new Fuliwen pen that I got. And it has this beautiful blue and black resin. And I think this will go together so beautifully. Then I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'm also going to swatch the ink on a Dominant, no, this is not Dominant Industry, a Waringal swatch card. So this is a different kind of paper. To be completely honest, I don't even know what kind of paper they use, but they did make these really nice ink swatch cards, and it's just a great way to compare the ink on various paper types. And for this, I also use the same way of swatching every time. So first, I dip an extra fine dip pen in the ink. And I'm gonna make a little line at the top. And I'm gonna repeat that with a fine dip pen. And with this dip pen, I'm also going to write the name. Then I'm going to make another line with a medium dip pen. Then I'm going to make a line with this, I forgot the name, the speedball nib in B1, which is a monoline nib, which gives a nice, very thick line. And then I'm going to use the back of the fine pen. I mean, it could have been the medium pen as well, but I'm going to just use the back. I'm going to dip that in the ink, and I'm going to color in the ink bottle. And this is what I do with all of my inks. Every time I acquire a new ink or ink sample, I will swatch it in these two ways. And I love doing it because, one, it is quite a meditative experience, to be honest. It's just something very mindful. You can't do it too fast or you'll spill the ink. It's just a nice way to sort of get acquainted with the color. Obviously, I haven't put the ink in a pen yet. I don't really know how it performs, how it will behave, but it does give me a nice overview of what the ink will look like on these two different papers. I specifically use the Tomoe River paper because that is the paper I write on the most, and the one that I care the most about what the ink looks like on that paper. And then I use these swatch cards because they are just really easy to organize, to take with me, to compare. So it's a very useful way of seeing multiple inks next to each other. So I'm going to do this for the other three inks as well. I'm probably going to speed up the process a little bit, and I'm going to clean the swatching utensils in between. So there will probably be a couple of cuts, but that way we will get to see all four of the inks swatched on these two papers. So the second ink I'm going to swatch is called Lotus of the Silver Moon, and let's just read what it says about this ink on the website. The lotus is a very powerful plant, and it's often used in Chinese gardens and lakes. The leaves wave above the water surface in the wind, and the giant yet delicate-looking flowers are even towering over them. Though the flower gives the impression of being soft, the petals are strong to the touch, silky and resistant at the same time, a soft pink powerhouse. So normally pink is not really my color, but there are definitely mostly floral pink tones that I do really enjoy, and I think this is going to be one of them. It looks like a color that would be lovely for springtime, and I'm really curious to see what it looks like on the page. Now that is a very, very pretty color. It's very, very soft, and it's almost a bit more lavender looking than I had expected. It's definitely pink, but it's a very interesting pink. I like it. Lotus of the Silver Moon. Gonna let this bigger swatch dry while I make the smaller swatch. Then let's take a look at the medium blue ink called Kokonor. And it says on the website that Kokonor is the biggest lake in China, located in the Tibetan highlands. And maybe the thin air in these heights let the water shine. Maybe the thin air in these heights let the water shine so irresistibly clear blue. A blue to never forget. It definitely looks like the type of blue that I don't really have in my collection, so I'm really curious to see it. I tend to always sort of drift towards the same types of blues, but there is so much difference between all of these blue inks. That's very interesting to see. This is definitely a blue that I love. It reminds me a bit of Diamine Florida blue, but I think this one is maybe lighter with, it looks like this one is going to develop more shading, but we'll see more about that when it dries down. So that is Shanghai Stationary Kokonor. This is a gorgeous, gorgeous color. Definitely a blue that I see myself using. And it goes really well with the pink of the Lotus of the Silver Moon. I think they have the same sort of combination of a softness and an intensity of color that is really, really nice. The dark blue, the blue black is drying to be a very dark color. And like you can see already on the Tomoe River paper that it is developing some red sheen. Not too much, not too vibrant, but it's definitely there. You can't really see that all that much in writing though, which I'm actually quite glad about. I'm not the biggest lover of sheen. I do like it in a big and moody swatch, but especially when I write with like an extra fine, I would like to still see some of the base color and not just a sheen, you know? So this seems like a good amount of sheen. And then we're going to take a look at Broken Bridge. So the Broken Bridge is a picturesque attraction in the West Lake at Hangzhou, China, one of the biggest landscape shaping garden projects of the Chinese emperors in ancient times, with mesmerizing viewpoints and architectural kind combined with looking into nature. The turquoise stone resembles looking at the water on a warm summer morning standing on top of this bridge. So this is the view. The color does not resemble the broken bridge itself, but the view from the bridge. I'm really curious to see what this color is going to look like. This is the kind of light blue, it seems, that tends to kind of chromo shade. And I'm really curious to see whether this one does that or not. I am not a big lover of chromo shading. Well, sometimes I like it. But with like a lot of the very famous Sailor Mano inks that are a lighter blue or gray color that kind of chromo shade to green and pink, there's just a little too much going on and you don't really get to appreciate the light blue color, the base color. And I'm kind of hoping that this one will sort of show the base color very well. But we're going to see. I'm horribly out of frame, am I not? Wow, this color looks, obviously it's still wet, but this looks even more beautiful than on the swatch on the bottle. I really like this color, even though it's very light, and for some it might be a bit too light to write with. I think it's gorgeous. It seems like there is a very slight beige tone peeking through in some areas, and I quite like that. It's actually, it reminds me of like looking at very, how do I put this? When you're like looking at a pond and the water is very clear, but it's also very like not very deep, so you can kind of see the sand underneath the water. It kind of reminds me of that. Shallow, that's the word that I was looking for, a shallow pool. Very, very pretty light blue color. So we have the one we swatched last, Broken Bridge. We have Kokonor. Really beautiful, going from a very light to a gorgeous medium blue. There are some hints of violet in there, but they're not really quite pronounced. We have the pink of Lotus of the Silver Moon. And we have the blue-black of Huang Pu. So far, I think if I had to pick a favorite, it would probably be the blue-black Huang Pu. But Kokonor is also absolutely gorgeous. I love Broken Bridge as well. I think Broken Bridge is really what I would have liked some of the Manyo colors from Sailor to be. These colors are just done really, really well. I'm really quite impressed with just how interesting the colors are. And I'm going to let the swatches dry completely. And while we do that, I'm going to ink up this pen with the blue-black ink just to see how it writes in a pen. So this is a Fully Wen pen. I forgot the name of the model, to be honest. I'll definitely put that somewhere on screen or in the description. But it is a blue-black resin pen. It's really, really beautiful. And yeah, let's just see how this writes with the Shanghai Stationary Huang Pu ink. This is everything that I look for in a blue-black ink, to be honest. It is dark enough to be a blue-black and to be a perfect just daily writer. It looks very professional. It is light enough to show that it's actually not a black but a blue. And I love that it is kind of desaturated. It has hints of gray. It even has hints of teal. It's definitely more towards the teal side than the more royal blue side, which I'm a big advocate for. I love teal blue colors. I am not a big fan of blues that lean very purple. So I really enjoy this. It writes well. It has good flow. I think it's it's definitely not a dry ink. It's also not overly wet. It flows great out of this extra fine nib. Yeah, I will definitely be using this just for journaling and for daily writing. And just to compare, this is both Tomoe River paper, and I'm not sure if you can see. I'm going to try and zoom in, but there's definitely some sheen on the bigger swatch, but there is no sheen on the writing. Now this writing is done with an extra fine nib, but even in this writing, which is done with a broad nib, you can barely see any of this sheen, which again, I don't mind that at all. I am not using the ink for the sheen. It can be fun sometimes if a little sheen shows up, but I'm usually more interested in the base color of the ink anyways, and that is definitely the case with this ink as well. In terms of comparisons, one of the inks that I think is quite similar, but also very different to Shanghai Stationary Huang Pu would be Sailor Kasasagi from the Shikiori line of inks. They have a very similar base color, but the big difference is that Kasasagi is a very strong sheener, so you will see a lot of sheen in your writing, whereas with Shanghai Stationary, you do not. You get to keep sort of the base color. That is a big difference between the two. Then for Kokonor, if I'm browsing through my collection of inks that I've swatched, obviously I haven't swatched every ink in the world, definitely not. But it is quite similar to inks like Diamine Florida Blue and Pilot Konpeki. But I'm noticing now that the other two inks are definitely more vibrant and more sort of an intense kind of blue, whereas Kokonor has a softer quality to it, a bit less punchy. So I'm actually going to try and compare this to another ink. And I think these are actually closer. Now, Kokonor is definitely a bit darker than Schneider Ice Blue, but they are both in that same family of colors that are definitely blue, but softer and a bit less vibrant than some of the other blues like Konpeki or Florida Blue, which I personally really, really enjoy. So I'm really happy to have this one in my collection. I think I like that it is a bit darker than Schneider Ice Blue, which will make it a bit more useful for daily writing. But it's a beautiful color. I think the Broken Bridge ink is most similar to some Sailor inks. If you compare it to Sailor Koke, then Koke has a lot more chromo shading, but it's also a lot more turquoisey. It has a lot more green going on. Let's see. Haha, another very popular Sailor ink, is more similar in its base color, but again, there's a lot more going on. There's a blue some blue haloing. Sorry, not blue, green haloing. There's chromo shading to pink. It behaves very differently, even though the base colors are comparable. Personally, I would prefer something like Broken Bridge because I like it when the color is a bit more consistent. I'm not the biggest fan of chroma shading, even though I think it's a very interesting property. It's not something that I find myself reaching for. And while you can see some kind of chroma shading in the bigger swatch to a sort of almost beigey color, you don't really see that in writing, even not with this brown, what? Get out. Not even with this broad nib. So again, a very quite unique addition to my ink collection. And then lastly, we have the Lotus of the Silver Moon. And that one is probably similar to... Okay, so it's not that similar. Schneider Lilac is definitely more lilac colored. It's definitely paler and more purple. Whereas Rose is definitely more towards a reddish pink. Let me see if I can find anything that's more similar. Jayabon Rose Tendresse is similar, but I would definitely prefer Lotus of the Silver Moon because Rose Tendresse is way too bright for me. But maybe there's something else that's similar. No, I don't have anything that's more similar to Lotus of the Silver Moon than Jayabon Rose Tendresse. Which is nice, I think. That means it's another color that is quite unique in my collection. And that is always my favorite kind of new ink to get. No matter how beautiful the color is, if it feels like just a duplicate of something else that you have, sometimes that's just a bit of a disappointment. So I'm really excited. I just hit the table. I'm really excited that these colors are all new to me and new to my collection, and I can't wait to use them more frequently. So thank you again to Shanghai Stationary for sending me these 4. Wait, that doesn't fit. It doesn't fit in the frame. Wait, maybe like this. Oh, we put this one here. It kind of fits. We'll just pretend that it fits. Thank you so much to Shanghai Stationary for sending me these inks and also for sending me the lovely booklet. I feel very, very, very spoiled. And to any of you watching, if you been wanting to try out Shanghai Stationary inks, I can definitely recommend them. I've written with the other inks before, the 3 inks that I bought at the Dutch Pen Show. I bought those inks with my own money just because I was super curious about their colors, and they perform really, really well. So I have no doubt that these will perform similarly well. Yeah, and I think it's just beautiful that behind all of these inks, there's a story, there's a love for Shanghai in specifically, but just like all of the beauty that that you can see there and that you can see in other areas of China as well. I love that they have this strong connection to some of the beautiful things that they have seen and have put that into an ink. That makes it feel very special to me. Like all of these inks have a story, and I like that about an ink. I don't know, maybe I'm just sentimental, but for me, it's hard to love an ink like Sailor Ink Studio that just has a number. And obviously they do that with a reason, because they don't want to color in your perception of the ink with the name that they give it and with their association. But I really like it when brands do that, when they, when they put a story with the color. Yeah, that's just my sentimental ramble, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye.